Hello, everyone, and welcome. Another episode of the Console Corner podcast. A couple big topics to talk about today. DreamHack and HRX finished about almost 2 weeks ago. About a week and a half ago. It was November 16th to 18th, I believe. We're also going to talk about people were pretty upset about the outside and the outside regions and the smaller regions not being represented at the Paladins World Championship, nor the Paladins World Championship qualifiers. And then we're going to talk about the meat of today, the 2020 format for Paladins Esports. Big changes, a lot of changes. About 99% of the community very upset with it. All that on today's show. Hey, you're listening to the Console Corner podcast, brought to you by Console Corner. Don't forget to check out our website at consolecorner.co and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Console Pro News for all our updates for esports. Hello and welcome everyone once again to the Console Corner podcast brought to you by Console Pro News. My name, your host, is Real Blue TV. No E in blue. Today's episode, very, very interesting. Got two special guests with me today. We have Vex30, the man, the myth, the legend. I call him the Joel Embiid of Paladins. Trust the process. He sat behind a veteran and now he led his team to a top 4 finish in the 2019 season, playing in the Paladins Premier League for Virtus Pro. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have a console player, but no short of flick shots using the gyro controls himself, is Ralkion, who did play for a few teams in 2019, but ended up going to the LAN for the Paladins World Championship qualifiers with Fatal Ambition, formerly Onslaught at the time. How you guys doing today? Vex?
Oh, I'm doing quite all right. It's been a pretty good day, and I'm highly curious what my nickname is again. Can you say that again?
Joel Embiid. Do you watch the NBA?
I do not.
All right, so Joel Embiid was I think he was the number 1 draft pick a couple years ago. He went to the 76ers.
Oh, okay.
He's like the perfect version of the new era of the NBA because he does all the memes and he knows the jokes. You know, he knows that if he makes a funny face during a game, it's going to be memed, so he does it properly.
That defines me perfectly. I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. He gets the crowd to like chant things. Like someone I forgot who it was, but someone committed a technical foul on him, and that person got kicked out the game. So he was like doing a wave. And he would say bye-bye, so he got the whole crowd to wave and say bye-bye as the person was walking off the court. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man. Plus, excuse me, he got drafted number 1 overall. But, you know, over the last couple years, if you get drafted number 1 overall in any sport, you're pretty much a guaranteed starter. They, like, market the whole team around you at that point, you know, and you're supposed to come in and just dominate. He didn't. It was kind of like a red shirt college kind of deal where they sat him on the bench the entire season.
Oh, wow.
He was injured too, so that went into it. But then the next season, they only let him play, I think, a couple games. So it was, you know, they kept saying, trust the process. They're coaching him up. And then he led his team to the playoffs last season. I think they made the conference finals. They lost to Toronto and Kauai, who ended up winning. But anyways, it's like, trust the process. And that's their chant. That's his nickname and stuff, you know. So
yeah, that makes sense. Good thing to live by, right there. Just gotta trust it. That's
pretty much what happened with you. You sat behind a veteran and stuff, you know.
True, I feel it.
And then our other guest, Ralkion, how you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty good, Blue. Just ready for the new 2020 Paladin season to get started. Patch coming out soon. Excited.
Have you played it on PTS? I know you just bought a PC, man.
Yes, I got my PC. I got a laptop in November, which I returned and have since got a full-on gaming desktop. And I did play a ton of PTS lot of casuals, a lot of scrims and 10s and stuff on it, and I am very much ready for any change from the current meta we've been in for so long.
Yeah, so interesting story, Vex. Check this out. He said he bought a laptop in November and he returned it. We were at LAN during this, okay? We went to Dave & Buster's for the unlimited wings deal they had that day.
The EU guys were feeding me wings. They're feeding me and my girlfriend so many. Like, we didn't even pay for the wings.
Yeah, you didn't. You didn't. You know why?
They just kept ordering more wings. They're like, oh, Ralk, you want these? It's like, hell, we do.
All right, Vex, check it out, right? I think it was me, Satisfies, and Luke is Too Good. We're the only 3 who actually paid for the wings. And then the bartender was like, oh, there's about 15 of you here. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. How many trays of wings? And they just kept bringing out trays with like 6 wings in each bucket.
Oh, wow.
Every 5 minutes rotation.
It was beautiful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so, well, it wasn't amazing because she would bring trays of wings and I'd go to the bathroom and come back and there's no more trays because they ate all the wings.
Be gone.
So I'd have to wait for more wings. But
okay, 5 minutes.
So Vex, check this out. We're in Dave & Buster's, right? Ralkion and his girlfriend are like, yeah, I'm going to go buy a laptop. And I'm like, wait, what? Right now? And he's like, yeah. So he leaves Dave & Buster's, walks across the street or wherever the store is.
It was a mile away.
It was a mile away. Did you guys walk or did you take an Uber?
15-minute walk. No, we walked.
All right. So they walked.
Okay.
Bought a laptop. Came back to Dave & Buster's, partied with us. When we left, he went to the hotel, set it up, was playing Paladins the whole time.
Oh, Lord. That's the definition of an impulse buy right there.
Right? But listen, we still had a week left of LAN.
Oh, Lord.
So
I needed something to do.
So, of course, I stayed. You stayed too, Vex, because we had to go to actual Atlanta.
Yeah.
And we had to go to Worlds. So we stayed. Ralkion went home. In between the 2 lands. And he went home, and I guess he returned the laptop within the time period and then bought a full desktop.
So here's what happened. So I bought the laptop at the beginning of November when LAN was. And apparently if you buy it in November, that's part of their holiday return policy. So you can literally wait till January like 14th or 20-something to return it. So I actually just returned it like a week ago. I had it from the start of November all the way through the end of December. And they just took it and they refunded my money. I didn't even have the original box. I just handed the laptop and the charger cable. And
we actually used to do that back before PPL, and there was only LANs and there wasn't like the league on LAN. There was like you'd go there for a week and have a LAN. We used to go out and buy laptops and buy monitors and buy stuff like that and then return it a week later.
Instead of traveling with yours?
Yeah, instead of traveling with ours, we used to just buy them and then return them. Because they have like a 2-week policy. So, I mean, we're only there for a week. We buy them, we set them up in the hotel, we play on them for practice, a couple of days before, and then we return them after the LAN.
I just thought of a big idea here, right? If Atlanta is about to be the esports hub, you have Access Replay, right? People go there, they can practice, stuff like that. But what about, instead of buying and returning, there's a company that rents out equipment for you guys to take to the hotel and to use.
Yep. Blue, are you going to go in on that idea with me?
I'll go in with you, man.
All right, we're doing it.
I'll tell my mother set up the account and everything. We have to register the business. We have to register the business in Delaware, so we don't have to pay taxes. Okay.
Oh, true. It's smart.
Then instead of buying the equipment, we get sponsorship deals, and they just give us equipment.
Oh, that'll be easy. I'll just use my YouTube clout for it.
Or I can go in and talk their heads off.
A mix of both would be good.
I can sell ice to an Eskimo, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's a lot of confidence on that. I like that confidence. You need that in business.
My mom always told
that analogy before. That's good.
My mom always explained me in 2 ways. I can sell ice to an Eskimo, and the other was no matter how far I fall into shit, I still come out smelling like roses.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So
your mother sounds like a wonderful lady.
She is. She gave birth to a legend, so.
Amen. Amen, Blue.
But he bought, dude, that setup you had, by the way, Ralkion. Vex, I don't know if you've seen the picture that he tweeted when he set up his desktop, right? But he's sitting on the couch, all right? That's
okay.
Already desktop computer. He's sitting on the couch.
Oh Lord! Oh, I think I saw that. I was going through your Twitter earlier, Ralk, and I think I saw that picture.
He's got his monitor on the coffee table.
Yep.
His computer his computer is on the floor. Then he's got another monitor on the end table to his left, and then he has a laptop hooked up to his TV or something.
Oh no, it's basically a triple monitor setup.
Triple monitor.
It is. It's a triple monitor setup.
That's
TV
a triple depth.
monitor.
You've got 3 different depth perceptions.
Oh yeah, it's pretty scuffed, but
I think that's the new age 3 monitor setup. You're ahead of the game.
I think we were actually recording a podcast episode when you tweeted that, and it was me, Roman, and Legacy, and Roman was just laughing so hard at that setup. He said, "How the hell? Forget trying to play on this. How is this comfortable?"
Oh, it's super comfortable. Especially now. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. I have a lap board now. So the keyboard slides into this lap board with a mouse pad built into it. And it's got a memory foam back and it just sits in my lap.
You know what?
I just sit back on the couch and play Paladins.
I have a desk that's L-shaped, and then I have an extension piece to the left, right, to finish it out. So it goes from wall to wall. I can't get to the window in my office. But you know those desks that have those trays that slide out, and it's supposed to be where you put your keyboard?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have one of those, but I don't use it. I use it to put paper on sometimes, or I put my phone there. Sometimes I put controllers there to store them or whatever. But when I play on PC with my controller, of course my hand is down there. That thing messes up my aim because I'll accidentally hit it with my thumb when I'm moving the joystick. So I have to move my chair back, and I can't detach this thing because it's not detachable. There's no screws or anything. So that thing is so annoying. I end up sitting 15 feet away from my monitor sometimes because the thing just gets in the way. But yeah, so let's talk.
Here, I just put it in the chat. It's loading here. This picture of the lap board.
All right, so this was a big thing. I was asking a couple other people if they wanted to be on this episode or maybe some future episodes. Dethroner was very interested. Obviously he had some time constraints, so he wasn't able to join you guys on this episode. But one of the things was, he kind of doesn't feel like talking about Paladins, and I feel like a lot of people have said that. I put out the tweet about who wants to be on the podcast, and I think it was Neil. He said, back in the couple months ago, he'd see 20, 30 people on his friends list playing Paladins, and he logged on the other day and nobody was playing. And that kind of struck me because I'm one of the biggest Paladins advocates. I still am. I still love the game and stuff, right? But I don't think so. Last week I streamed myself playing Paladins for about 3 days. Before that, I hadn't played Paladins in I think 2 months since the World Championship. Sometimes I just take a break from it because that way when I come back I feel fresh. So in that time frame that I hadn't played Paladins, I beat the entire Ghost Recon Wildlands game again. All the side missions, the main missions, everything, right? Then I bought Ghost Recon Breakpoint because it was on sale. By the way, the holiday sale, $140 edition I got or $120 edition I got for $40. I was like,
ooh,
yeah, I'll
that's
buy
value.
it. A lot of people don't like this game. The reviews are mixed,
pretty low,
but pretty low. But it's $40 for $120 edition. I like Ghost Recon. I read the books, whatever. So I bought it. I beat the entire game, main missions, side missions, everything, right? Then I was like, you know what? I'll play some Paladins. So I played some Paladins for those 3 days. And then I woke up one day and I'm like, I want to play Grand Theft Auto. Now, I haven't played GTA 5 since it came out on PS3. I never even owned it on PS4. So I kept Googling. I own it on PS3. Can I just download it on PS4? No, I had to rebuy it. Holiday sale, it's $15 for the online deluxe edition. So I bought that. So I've been playing GTA 5 for the past couple days, right? So Ralkion, I think I know when you last played Paladins. It was probably about an hour ago because you were scrimming, right?
Yes.
All right. So Vex, have you played today?
Yeah, I sure have, actually.
Yeah, you were streaming, so I
Yeah.
would assume that you played it. So has there ever been a moment where it's like, I need a break from this game, and that break kind of went longer than expected, Vex?
Oh yeah, I I actually had one of those during PPL. I straight up for 3 weeks did not play Paladins outside of scrims. Like we're supposed to like usually we'd scrim like our team scrim for 3 or 4 hours and then we'd play the game for like 3 or 4 hours afterwards. We'd scrim and I told my team I'm like I'm not playing Paladins. If you guys want me to sit here and cry all day, I will. I'll play Paladins and do it. But like I just refuse to play Paladins for 3 weeks besides scrims. Like there are times where you just get totally burnt out of Paladins and it happened during the season. Like we had big matches coming up. I just could not get myself to play the game. So I get where you're coming from.
Did that affect your gameplay during the PPL matches though?
I think if I'm not mistaken, one of the days I think it did slightly, just some like mechanical things, but besides that, not too much. Honestly,
I mean, it's not just that you're not playing the game; you are scrimming. But at the same point, it's like you have that mentality where it's like, I don't want to play this game, but I have to scrim, so let me get this over with, and then, you know.
Yeah. That's actually like a good point. I think if anything, that mentality hurt me more than not playing the game. Like going into scrims and saying, like, I just want to get over and get done with this. That's gonna hurt you more than going into scrims and saying, I actually want to be here, I want to learn something and do something good. You know? I think that hurt me more than not playing the game, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, so after I played both Ghost Recons, I played Paladins for a couple of days again, and you know I could feel the game felt so different because I was not playing it every day. You know, it looked and felt like my eyes were having. I was tripping balls, man, because you know Wildlands, Breakpoint, they try to make those games look realistic, and then I come back to Paladins and how it looks, and I'm just like, whoa, this is awesome again. You know, it's like it's kind of like a refreshing breather, you know? What about you, Ralkion? I mean, I know you took a break a while ago before you started playing competitively again, but during the season or, you know, any time, is there like, I don't want to play this game, I need a break, let me take a...
Well, yeah, I mean...
Probably hard for you, because I saw you playing during LAN, and you're in your hotel room grinding and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's literally the longest break I took was before I came back in 2019, at the end of 2019, where I took basically 6 to 9 months off. I don't even remember how long it was between the time I like last touched Paladins and the end of 2019. So I really think the longest break I've taken off of playing Paladins has probably been no longer than 5 days in the last year. I don't know. For me, for a lot of it was learning gyro controls renewed my love of the game and kind of made me kind of hungry to play the game more and try to get better and see the improvements I was making. Whereas, you know, Vex, you probably don't have any experience with this, but console aim settings have been a huge thing for so long. You know, people have been complaining about aim for so long, and then they make huge changes to it, and people seem happy, and then people are like, no, I actually liked it more when everybody was saying they hated it. And so I feel bad for high-res because it's like, when do we actually get it right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever happy with it, whereas PC's been pretty much raw input mouse, I believe, for the entire lifespan of the game, so it's never really had any effect like that. So there's a time where the sticks just felt awful, and I hated playing the game, and then they fixed it and it got better. But as far as the only things that have gotten stale to me about Paladins has been kind of the meta, as far as me grinding. Like, oh, do I have to play the same? Do I have to play Leon every game, or do I have to play Victor every game? I'd rather play Eevee. That sounds like way more fun.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of these things in the AOC too. You know, GC2MT, the Xbox representative, and I, and Meki, the Switch rep, had some input into this as well. A couple months ago, we had a topic that we brought up in the meetings. It was about the console aim. The problem is, here's the big problem is that no one's happy no matter what any game developer ever does, right?
Amen.
But here's the thing. Like, back in the day, the aim was good. It was great, but we didn't know that. You know? You never know you have a good thing until it's gone. And that's kind of the problem with gaming. So it was great, but we didn't know that. So they changed it, and it was terrible. Then they changed it again. They said they reverted it, but some of the devs have told me that it wasn't a revert, and they don't have that programming for the old settings anymore. So they had to redo it, but they tried to get it as close to what it was before. And it's better than aim settings 2.0, but it's still not better than 1.0, right? And we've just learned to kind of leave it because we don't want 2.0 again, right? The other problem is that, and these were the devs in the meeting, and they kind of make a great point when they told us this. Back then, when the aim settings were good and we didn't know, there was a lot of, the meta was different, and there was a lot of different champions added to the game since then. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we can't really tell because there's new champions, there's new meta, there's a lot of new stuff, right? The other thing is that no one's ever going to get it right. You know?
No, it's not possible.
At this point, at this point, it's like, what's the point in doing any more changes to it? Because it is literally never going to be perfect. And PCL is dead. Like, most of the high-level console players I know are not playing this game anymore because they know they're not going to be able to compete against keyboard and mouse. I'm one of the only people who are still trying to make something happen from console. There's very few people actually trying to do that. So it's also kind of like, all these high-level players that were complaining about aim are probably just going to move on to some other game and find something else to complain about in that game. They're going to move on to Rainbow Six Siege or whatever the next game coming out, Halo Infinite or something. Who knows? But most people are, it's about to become a non-issue, I think, where all the people who did complain were the people who played the game all the time on controller, on a console, and that's just not a thing. You're not going to be playing PPC with a guy playing on his PS4 or his Xbox. It's going to be someone on 144 frames or 240 frames on a PC. And with a controller, maybe, I just don't see why they would mess with it anymore at this point.
I mean, aim assist, Vex, you probably know this by now because I've probably preached it to you 1,000 times, or other console players, but like aim assist does not help you as much as, PC or anybody would think it does. It really, it kind of hinders you and your ability to do well, is because, if I'm playing Maldamba on console and I'm trying to heal my ally, it's going to pull me towards an enemy, think I'm trying to shoot them, right? That doesn't help.
Yep.
I'm trying to shoot this person, there's a Ying clone, and it's pulling me towards the Ying clone or the barrack turret or whatever else, and it doesn't help. And then there's problems like Terminus. There's no aim assist on Terminus at all, which, yes, people don't want aim assist, but at the same time, it's like, I'm aiming at this guy and I have aim assist. Then all of a sudden I turn to the left to aim at Terminus and I totally lose control. It's kind of like flying a helicopter, and then all of a sudden your controls are taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
You get totally different. You get used to it, and you know how to use it and to avoid its hindrance. But then all of a sudden it's totally stripped, and you turn to your right, and all of a sudden it's back. It's really, really not good,
Yeah.
So
inconsistency.
That's the problems. But these people who say, "Oh, I just want an aim assist slider, turn it off." It's like, okay, that's fine, but that's not going to fix the problem, because someone playing Victor who doesn't turn their aim assist off is still going to be doing a lot of damage and still be doing better than, normally, maybe than what they should be doing, because they still have aim assist on and you don't. So you're just going to complain about that, call them a loser because they still have their aim assist on. So what we're doing in the AOC is we're kind of tracking which champions are affected too much by aim assist, and that's what they're looking at as the devs. Which champions need their aim assist toned down, which ones maybe need it turned up a little bit, and different effects on different deployables and characters and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, we get it. Hit scans are very strong on console. Let's tone their aim assist down a little bit, But we can't turn it off completely. And even if
that makes sense.
Even if you did, in any game, any video game on a console, there's going to be a certain amount of aim assists because of the way consoles work. That's just the way it is. But let's move on. Let's talk about 2019 and the start of it, because both of you had very interesting storylines when you break it down, right? We have the PPL, which went to LAN League, right? And we have Vex. Vex, you were on a team. I want to talk about how you went from being like, no offense, Vex's shadow, or excuse me, Cuss Cutie's shadow, right? And then you became your own prominent figure amongst the community, not just your YouTube channel, not just your videos that you make and your stream and stuff like that, but as a player in the professional circuit, right? You became this prominent figure, you became sort of an icon, you created your own team, you talked a lot about, you know, bringing these players from different regions together, which you did with VP. You guys made some roster changes halfway through the season, and it worked out for you guys. You guys made it all the way to top 4. You were one of the favorites to win the championship. You know, unfortunately that didn't happen, but that's just the way it goes. But I want to talk about, first, let's talk about how you started, you know, in Cuss Cutie's shadow, transitioning to your own self and becoming that icon that you are today and starting your own team in the PPL. Like, what was that like for you?
Oh geez, it's been a wild ride since moment one of like being in the shadow. You know, I was okay with it. I learned a lot from Cuss. Cuss is a great guy, being on a team with him, but like I wanted to make my own way. I was offered back when the PPL first, not even the LAN League, the PPL first started. I was offered minimum salary to be the 6th on that team, and I declined it for just barely a little bit more money to play as like a starter. And like I made that decision right then and there that I was done being somebody else's, you know, second. I was ready to be my own player, and that's when I joined SK. And like that season, we actually won, you know, the PPL. We got first in the PPL.
Yeah, you got first in the PPL. Then you lost in the qualifiers, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about purity around.
Talk about that. No. Was that the time when Rocket McKee was coming up too? Like
that was
the big tournament.
Yeah, Rocket.
Everybody was like, "Who is this guy?" And he's, oh man,
yeah. Rock and Rubu were on purity. Yeah. That's when Virtus Pro was the #1 seed coming out of qualifiers.
Yeah. Elvin, Sephi, Cog.
Yeah, but they had to have 2 subs going to Worlds, and then they got beat in the...
they got beat really early on.
Yeah, I remember that. It was very cold in Atlanta that weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, you were on SK. How did you end up going... Because you did so well on SK, you were able to take the starting position for G2, and Cuss moved to frontline, right?
Yeah, that was right after Vegas that happened. Because I was, you know, I still had ties with G2. I was talking to them a little bit before Vegas. You know, I talked with them, and they were saying, you know, they were having problems. They might be looking for a 5th. You know, I went to Vegas with all we can give. We honestly... I don't know if you know this, but in Vegas, SK was 1 point away from beating Envy in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. A lot of people always forget that. It's like, oh,
Vegas
that was
just
tournament.
Like one of those lands that was just like out of nowhere. Hey, we're going to Vegas, you know?
Yeah. And we got invited because mainly we knew the owner, but you know, they said we were going to go because we got first of PPL, the first PPL. But yeah, it was right after Vegas, I ended up joining G2 because they dropped Wardoom. Because they had some conflicts there, and Cuss stepped aside and became a tank, and I came in as support, and it was really fun, and we got first the first season we played, and then we went to LAN. We were actually a big favorite that LAN, and we ended up getting first at the PPL finals, and then we dropped out really early to Fnatic. They got the revenge during the like the main LAN part of it, but that was the first tournament that I think I would consider it my breakout tournament, because during the PPL finals, I ended up getting MVP for winning that. We came back like 3-1 against Envy. We reverse swept them from 3-1, and then we beat Fnatic 4-1. And it was really good for us. I think that was the moment where like I really stepped out of the shadow and became my own support, like my own player, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that is, because then that gave you the ability to go and recruit other players to start VP, right?
Yeah, we had that. That was the summer. We had the fall split into HRX of 2018. Yeah, 2018. I was on G2 for that. That was a poor showing. But coming into the next year, me and Dosups, which was the captain actually the first split of this PPL. I ended up taking over for the second split.
Yeah.
But me and him decided to build the team, and we're just like, this is it. This is our time. We knew Akate. Akate came to Dosups pretty early on saying, hey, I want to make a team with you. And we had him in mind. We actually had bodies on the roster for a little while instead of other tank. But bodies decided to not play, basically. He decided he was done with Paladin, so he kind of like dropped out early on in building that team. But yeah, me and Dosups basically came up with a list of people, and Fisheko was a real tough one to get. We really had to prove ourselves because those Europeans, man, they did not look highly upon NA players. And we just had to get him into a few scrims and really convince him to join the team. That kid is insane. God, I think one of the best players in Paladins, but he's insane. That was weird building a team though. I'm glad Dosups was there for it though. And I'm glad we were there together building it because there was no way that would have been possible on my own. So.
And when you built that team and you announced it, man, heads were turning. I mean, how did you feel? How did the rest of the team feel after you guys like announced it and you were like, all right, we're doing this. We're in the PPL. This is going to be our squad. Like,
oh, we were hyped, especially knowing that it was going to be a LAN league. We were going to get a team house, and we just felt so good in scrims, dominant. NA and EU scrims, we were just dominant.
Wait. You're going to get a team house? Whoa.
Yeah, we were gonna get a team house.
You guys bought the Staybridge? What?
Bought the Staybridge.
God, yeah, we bought out the Staybridge. That's our mansion. I didn't know if you knew that. It's a VP mansion. We got like 300 rooms in there. It's kind of crazy. But I'm sure a lot of people know. But we actually started with Sephi on the main roster.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think.
And that story.
What? Transportation issues or something? Like
yeah, so basically I could talk about this now basically like outright. What happened is Sephi, we were going to apply for visas, and Sephi went in to apply for his visa, and there was some miscommunication between VP and him, and it was on both parties were at fault for this. And he said the wrong things during his visa application and got denied. So there's something called an ESTA for Europeans, I think, coming to America, something like that. I don't know how it works.
Yeah. I think isn't he Eastern European though? Like where Elvin around that area? CIS, like Ovum, Elvin, all that.
He's German. He's from Germany.
Oh, okay. Never mind that.
Yeah. So he had an ESTA, and that let him get in the US for like a month at a time. So it would have been A-okay for this whole year. But because he got denied his visa, his ESTA became invalid for like a year or two. So because VP and him had a miscommunication on when he was going to do it and like what he should say, he got denied his visa and he could not play basically. And VP, they could have tried to got his P1 visa, but because of the issues that the PPL in WESA had, VP didn't want to get him his P1 because VP didn't know if they're going to get reimbursed for that. So he never got his P1, and we ended up just having to pick up Puliguli a week before the first week of PPL, and Puli hadn't played for a while. So that's that story. Rip Sephi. God, he's such a good player.
Yeah, that would have been nice to have.
Yeah.
That would have changed your whole scope for 2019 too, because you ended up getting rid of Pule for Cruncy. So let's talk about that going into, or first let's switch gears here. Let's go to Ralkion and talk about his first half of 2019, because you had a rough one.
Oh Lord,
you had a rough one, man.
Yeah.
I think you played for 3 teams in the first half of the season, right? You played for Big Money Esports. All 3 were PS4 North America. So you played for Big Money Esports with the Muffin Man. You know, give us kind of an idea of how that went, because I think you were playing support, right? To start off with, which is
well, kind of.
Yeah, so Vex Ralkion, longtime support player, recently swapped to damage, I think about towards the end of phase 1 this year, kind of like right before the middle break. But yeah, Ralkion, I mean, you play for Big Money, you play for Low Key Scheming. Tell us a little bit about that, because you had to come back from like retirement, quote unquote, into this season. So, you know, give us a little bit.
So basically what happened was, coming into the 2019 season, I mean, Demuffman's someone I met playing online on PS4 way back in the Killzone days, like 2013, 2014. And he's actually someone I've even hung out with I've flown to Arizona to stay with him for a week. So good friend of mine. So obviously when you have someone like that, you want to make a team with that person. And the thinking being that I would be DPS at the start of 2019 and he would be on the tank, and we picked up what we thought were good players and everything, and I mean they were good players. And then we kind of just going into scrims and stuff, we just thought that maybe my support would be more value than kind of the support we had at the time, Ballenberry. It was a combination of that plus also we had two people playing tank who were both DPS players, which a good DPS player can make a good tank, but both of them didn't really have that tank experience, so it just made more sense to move one of them back to damage, move me to support.
1 second. Sorry to cut you off. Vex, would you agree that the hardest position in Paladins to learn to play is the off tank?
Yes, I would actually. Yeah.
All right, so they had a damage player trying to play off tank, and it wasn't working. And that's why it's one of the hardest ones to work, right? Because you have to have that tank mentality, but you have to have that damage mentality as well. And there's
a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot of off-tank players in Paladins, but not a lot of good off-tank players. That's the problem.
There's like two good off-tank players. Like there are not very many.
Yeah, you're talking about PPL.
Well. PPL.
Yeah. I'm talking
in general
across all the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's like. Yeah, but go ahead, Ralkion. I know you had the Muffin Man trying to play tank. You had NBK trying to play tank. That was kind of a nightmare for both of them. You guys brought in Roman Rulers, though, who is a tank player and could play main tank. But there was a lot of disagreements within the team there. Can you? I have to ask you to explain your side of the story of this. So Vex, check this out, right? They had a sub who ended up being the sub/coach with Ralkion on Fatal Ambition, Jay Genzi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or his gamer tag is Geppetto, right? Now, this team, Big Money, did not want to scrim. Okay? Ralkion, were you? I don't think Ralkion was with the team still at this point. Maybe he was. He'll have to let me know. But I don't think the Muffin Man was on the team anymore, right? But I know Roman was on the team. Kev Falcon was there, right, Vex? And Jay Genzi wanted to scrim, but the team didn't want to scrim. Now, this is around the time that Avengers Infinity War came out.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
It was like
that's a weird correlation, all right?
No, listen. This is... Oh, it was Avengers Endgame, not Infinity War.
Yeah, it was Endgame.
Yep. Endgame, because we wrote a whole article on Console Corner's website, and like the paragraph was called Big Money. The end game, right? and it's because of the movie. So Genzi's like in their group chat apparently. This is all like he say, she say to what happened. This is like rephrasing. They didn't like show me screenshots or anything, but the person who told me the story told me this is what happened. And two people actually told me the same story on different accounts. So I guess Jay Genzi was like, hey, what time are we scrimming? And I guess Kev was the captain. He said, we're not scrimming. I'm going to watch Endgame instead. And Genzi immediately, Vex, responds, Iron Man dies. Now let's fucking scrim.
Oh, oh my God.
And
I didn't know he said Iron Man. If he had said someone else, that's different. You can't say that.
I guess he said Iron Man dies or like, so-and-so dies, whatever. And Kev was so pissed that he kicked Genzi off the team right away, instantly. Like all of this happened within a second. That's how fast this was.
Oh my God.
So that was part, like you can just imagine the problems this team had towards the end of phase 1.
And people wonder why PCL is not a thing anymore. It's just the kind of stuff that...
not just that, but the mixer
Imagine if Vex is like, yeah, we dropped Puliuli because he has spoiled, he told me who died at the end of Endgame. So, like what?
So Ralkion was on Big Money Esports. He wanted to play damage. They weren't going to let him, so he left. And then you went to low-key scheming, I think, for like a week or two, right? Tell us a little bit how that environment...
No, I was with them for a while.
Oh. How was that different? How was that environment? You know, you're with some younger players who want to get better, and they're trying. They have some resources that they've been using. They learn to VOD review, stuff like that. But you're also mixed in with people like business. And, you know, for you and I, we know how that guy thinks. And so tell us how that was different from Big Money Esports.
I mean, at least we scrimmed. I'll say that. We played the game more. But
man, Vex, it's rough out here on the controller.
Yeah,
man.
Jesus. Seems like some interesting things going on.
Yeah. So I mean, we scrimmed. We had 2 or 3 people who wanted to get better and wanted to VOD and wanted to do that kind of stuff. And then we had, you know,
business.
2 or 3 people who didn't really care.
You had business. You can say it, man. You can say it.
Yeah, we had business who didn't really want to scrim, didn't like the game, said he wanted to quit the game.
Then he wants to play damage. Then he wants to play tank.
He wants to play damage. Then he's like back to tank, and then they end up dropping Izzy Tyler. I wasn't even a part of this.
Bad move.
It was a bad move. That was while business was taking his break. He's like, I'm gonna take a week off. I'm just gonna watch y'all scrim.
Yeah, Vex,
so he watched...
listen to this, man. This is like daily console team chat, man. It's like, I don't want to play for a week. Hey, let's drop our best main tank.
Yep.
And then they have who'd you guys have? You guys had Cop, right? And Cop is like...
We had Cop, which... Cop is Cop, and he has his moments.
Cop is good at support and damage, but he wants to play tank, right?
Oh, that's tough.
The problem is that the whole team wants to play tank when Comp wants to play tank. Also, this is worth noting for you, Vex. Low-key scheming, that team made it into the league with a totally different roster. And
I heard about that.
And then 4 of them left.
Yeah.
And the support was the only guy left.
Yeah, I heard about it because we had Spuds as a coach, and he was like big in consoles. So like he told us about it. I was like, that's I just thought that was just the honest thing.
That's what they do.
They all just dip.
That's what they do. It's see, I'm name dropping because I don't really care anymore. People talk crap about me all the time.
Long enough time has passed.
just gonna be like the Rush Limbaugh of Paladins from now on. Okay, so it's like Fiery Impact, a very, very talented player. Very talented. He can play tanks. He can play off tanks, and he can play damage like no other, man. He's really, really good on the sticks. The problem is that he goes to university, and it always seems to get in the way when it matters most, right? Mm-hmm. So he'll go through qualifiers with a team, and they'll win. They'll qualify, and then he's like, you know what? I got school, and then he'll leave, and then the rest of the team leaves, and usually the support that was with them would leave with them, but then this time he stayed, and I talked to him. He came into a voice chat with me when I was streaming, and he talked to me, and the chat heard him, and I could tell he wanted to play, and he had dedication this time. So he got some people together. They made some plays, and they had a decent squad for what it was in the console league. The problem is that all the problems that Ralkion just stated started to happen. But
I will say though, I would probably never team with those people ever again. Assuming console is still a thing. Obviously not going to happen now that PPC is a thing. But if console is still a thing, I would never team with those people again, because without even giving me a shot or a chance to like kind of show them that they're wrong, they drop me for Coma Foxtrot Tetsuya Terumi Teriyaki Sauce. I don't even know his full name. What his gamer tag was, but he was nowhere near the caliber player of I am, and I will say that, and every single person on any other team knows that. And they dropped me for him for no reason whatsoever, without even giving me a warning.
He made a name for himself playing Zin in ranked.
Oh Jesus!
He was like a level billion Zen.
Mm-hmm.
And so not long after that, I got picked up by Onslaught as the sub, and and they were in the second place team that time. And
Fiery Impact was still on Onslaught when you got picked up, or did he leave?
he was still there. He was still there, but he was kind of being flaky, like you were saying.
Fiery Impact was playing for Onslaught when they were the best team at the time.
Okay.
And then he was getting flaky again. And he had school, so he had to stop playing, right? So they picked up Ralkion. And then what happened was Fiery Impact went to another team.
Yeah.
But
what?
He
was under contract, though.
So listen to this. He was under contract with Onslaught at the time, still. So they made a deal, an unwritten deal, right? Where when that team, I think it was Hydra Gaming, which was the low-key scheming kids. By the way, low-key scheming went through relegations, right? Because they were the bottom 2 of their division. They went through relegations, Vex, and they lost. So they didn't get back into the league. All right. Hydra Gaming, or they were called something else. I forgot what their name was. Their made up name. And they made it into the league coming out of relegations. They were a new team. It was headed up by Dayton is Too Cool, right? And what happened was, I guess they signed with the org Hydra Gaming. Then something happened where Dayton called someone the N-word, or he got called racist, whatever. And he got kicked off the team. New captain was Mwadak, I think it was. And then they ended up dropping 4 players and bringing in basically the roster from Low-Key Scheming. So, Low-Key Scheming, perfect name, made it back into the league without winning in relegations. Then Fiery Impact joins them, and there's an unwritten rule because he's under contract with Onslaught that when Hydra plays against Onslaught in the regular season at any time, Fiery's not allowed to play.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
So
technically
unwritten rule,
yeah.
Not even in his contract, but they came to me for advice, and I told them, I said straight up, I said, listen, this is very, very thin ice you are treading on, because if you play with him, then they can say that he's under contract, which he is, but at the same time, there's nothing in the contract that says he can't play for you. But at the same time, it's like both things negate each other no matter what you do, so it's a lose-lose situation for you.
Yeah, they're just kind of screwed either way.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you agree to that? Why would Fiery leave Onslaught? They're going to LAN. What is happening? So
Jesus.
This is
Man's
why
got issues.
This is why Console Corner is so premier, because we have the headlines.
Got the
baby.
drama.
PCL. This is why PCL should never leave. I don't care. Find funding from the National Enquirer, because that's basically how I feel when I have to report news from the PCL. It's the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
It's Elvis is alive and running for president, and that's basically the equivalent to anything that happens in the PCL ever.
Sounds like a reality TV show.
Exactly. It's awesome. It's awesome. I want a reality TV show for PCL. That's why I've been begging my mom to just fund the PCL and fund it to where all of them can live in a giant apartment complex and just argue with each other the whole time.
And just have a bunch of cameras everywhere.
Yeah, business doesn't want to play. Business doesn't want to play, so he's locked in his room. So Ralkion goes down there swinging his gyro controllers through the door. It would be awesome. But, Ralkion, you joined Onslaught. You made it to your first LAN. Vex, I don't know if you know this, but playing at LAN on a controller is a lot different, and they love playing at LAN on controller. They're playing on PCs. They get better frame rates. Aim assist is less, significantly less. It's kind of still there, but, barely even noticeable. And
it's just like butter. I mean, you went from 60 FPS on a console to 240.
Yeah, so you weren't gaming on a PC before that. You were actually playing on your PS4 with your gyro controls. You made it to your first.
There's actually a big story, not a big story, but kind of a little thing about that is, so I was playing on PS4, and every single other person screaming at the time was playing PC, basically, and it's such a huge advantage to be on a PC at over 120, 144, all that frames, that I was playing at a huge disadvantage against these people all on PC. And then like we're looking at scrims and like going into LAN before everybody was on PC. I was the one who was doing a lot of work on the damage, and like every PCL day, I was pretty much top damage, top kills, doing my job. And then once we started scrimming with every single person on PC except me, Ghost started being the guy who was the top damage. Like he was honestly, he had like some rough couple weeks where he was literally depressed because he literally only played Paladins, and he would get depressed because he would come to scrims and feed his brains out because he wasn't good on console anymore. He was only good on PC. And then once we got to LAN, it was such a huge change for me. I spent the first game just trying to get used to how that the LAN client feels compared to
Tell us about
console.
that. Like, it was your first LAN, so you actually got to play on a PC for the first time with your controller. That's what like got you into getting a PC. Started, grinding even harder nowadays. But beforehand, strictly PS4, strictly controller. Talk us through like when you first got to your LAN. It was your first LAN. Again, so How did you feel before you even played, man? Like, you got to go to LAN, so how did that feel overall? Because Vex has been there, done that, he knows all of that.
Yeah, been to LAN, like, is the LAN. Oh, man.
And Vex, you can tell us about your, you can kind of, tell Ralkion how your first LAN was too, as he is, explaining what it felt like to him.
Yeah, so the first LAN was very nervous. Probably the most nervous I've been since I played like Game Battles Halo 3 back on the Xbox 360. Like, that's how nervous I was. I'm like back to a 12-year-old kid playing Game Battles. And I'm 27. That was like 10, 15 years ago, thinking back to. So I was very, very nervous, especially the first map we played. I feel like I just was a bot the first map.
even after scrims you were still like going into the actual tournament day.
Oh, well, we barely, I think we played maybe one map of scrims. I don't think we even scrimmed.
Did we scrim?
Yeah, I don't think Onslaught or Fatal Ambition got the scrim at all as far as I remember.
Did you go back and watch the VODs?
From the Flashpoint games?
From your games, any of your games.
Like the LAN games?
Yeah.
Or... No, I don't think we even bought it. We just talked about kind of drafts and stuff.
No, I'm saying, did you watch them at all? It's been like 2 months, man.
Oh, have I watched them personally? I have.
I'm trying to ask you if I looked good on camera, okay?
You look great, Blue.
You always look great, Blue.
And that suit and everything, with a blazer, looks good. I definitely try to avoid most of watching it because I got my screenshots of like my LAN headshot basically, and that's my new Twitter profile, and that's about as much as I want to go back and see.
Yeah, I had the luxury of being at LAN twice before actually playing. So
oh wow,
back in
that like creates a whole different. Yeah, Valencia was 2017 in July in that hot ass air hangar.
Yeah, that was Jesus. That was brutal.
Expired boxed water.
That was terrible.
How does water expire?
I don't know. It was impressive. Like, they wouldn't turn on the AC. It was tilting. And
I think they did. It just didn't work.
When I got to Valencia, they lost my luggage. For 3 days, I didn't have clothes.
Oh, at least you weren't invigorate. They lost a player.
But I like back to that like first LAN experience. My first 2 LAN experiences was on Astro Authority, which was like March of that year, 2017.
That brings back memories, man.
Oh, it brings back memories for me.
They dominated Xbox console for a while too.
Oh yeah, true. Same with Smite actually. Astro was a really good team in both.
That's what I'm
consoles.
saying. Smite, Xbox, yeah.
Oh yeah. But I was with Astral, and like I tell you what, those first 2 LANs being a sub was probably more nerve-wracking than my first LAN not being a sub. And my first LAN not being a sub was PWC qualifiers that same year for that HRX where we lost to Purity. That was my first playing LAN. And
that was that was 2017 still, because the HRX was in January of 2018. Then they had another one that same year in November at DreamHack. That was actually the first time they had PS4 Smite.
Yeah.
So before that, like Valencia and stuff, Astral Authority, they dominated console Smite because there was only Xbox Smite at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But go ahead.
But like I got the taste in the first one with Astral. I got the taste of losing. We went out really hard. Even though it was a sub, you still have the atmosphere. Just being there for the first time as a sub is everything. I think that helped me a lot because we lost heavily there, and then we win Valencia, and then I venture on my own to SK, go to my first lane. And I swear, it was us versus Envy. It was Envy it was in Vocal Envy still, and like, oh man, what was his name? I can't remember his name right now, but it was a very early form of Envy, and I swear the first game I played was one of my best games I've ever played on lane. I was going to try to find a VOD of it.
Yeah, I know who you're
talking
about.
It was on Stonekeep. I was on Damba on Stonekeep.
They had Invocal, Dethroner, Meta.
They didn't have Meta playing.
No, I think he was still coaching though, right?
He was coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot who they had. I forgot his name too, but I
know
they look like.
What we're talking about. Yeah, he was tall. He's a lawyer now. Oh man, I'd feel bad forgetting his name. But yeah, that first game I played against them was my first game ever playing on LAN, and I think it was one of my best I've ever played because it felt surreal. The first point fight we played, it felt surreal, but then I got into the zone. I don't know. Maybe I'm a natural on LAN, but I've always felt very comfortable on that. Very comfortable on that stage, and I think it was due to being a sub for 2 LANs. It got me really comfortable with the atmosphere.
Going to LAN as a sub first, I think is the easier way. There's no easy way to say going to your first LAN and performing, right? But to be a sub, it's kind of like, because when you go to your first LAN, it's not just about playing. It's kind of like that shock and awe. You're on a main stage in front of people. Yeah, it's the atmosphere. I mean, the hotel atmosphere even.
Yep.
You're traveling. You've got that like, oh, let's, I get to meet all these other players and I get to hang out and, we got to do this and we got to do that. And it's just being out of your normal element, sitting in your own office or your own room or in your own living room, wherever you sit in your house, you're comfortable, that environment, so it's a totally different thing. I mean, I've never played at LAN as a player, but I can kind of relate because I traveled for basketball and for cross country and stuff like that, so every week our school goes to the same place for our cross country meets. So I know that track. I know that course, not track because we run in the woods, but I know that course. I know it, I know all the teams that are showing up. And then we go to like the regionals or the districts or the states, and I don't know the course, so I have to look at this piece of paper and memorize this course. I don't know half these other schools that are running with me. I don't know where I am. We just drove on a bus for 45 minutes, so it's like, yeah, I get it. I know that feeling, but going as a sub, I think, kind of makes it easier because you don't have to focus on playing and performing. Instead, you can kind of soak in that atmosphere. That way, the next time you come, whether you're playing or not, I've been here, done that. I know this atmosphere. I don't get those chills from not being at home anymore,
Yep. You get it.
So for you, I think it was a little easier. For Ralkion, he comes in, he has to be in the studio. He has that shock and awe kind of like, oh my God, I'm in the Skillshot studio. I see this on the screen at home when I watch the PPL, and now I have to walk in this room and I have to win a game.
Yeah, it's definitely, I was so nervous the first game. We picked Timbermill because we were like, let's throw him off. Who the hell scrims Timbermill? No one.
Yeah, you would think it hits you when you like go in for photo day, but
no, nothing hits you till you get into that draft.
Till you sit down in the booth and you're in a draft and you're like,
you're loading in on the lobby. It's the first
this
horse
man
ride
with
out
the cameras in my face.
Yeah, I'm like, what camera do I look at? I'm like, but it was such a fun experience. At least just getting to play, and I felt like even though we lost 3-1 our first set and then lost very, very lopsided to the
PC team, all business. I think.
Yeah, it's Hype Unit. No, Hype Unit.
Yeah.
Hype Unit PC. That it was still such a fun experience, and I feel like 100% underperformed. but I also feel like there was no shot of my team beating a PC team.
All right, so let's talk about that. That was the next segment I wanted to go in before we talk about 2020. It's because 2020 is one league, no matter what platform or whatever you want to play on. Going back, we're talking about MSI. MSI was a big deal because it was kind of, even if they say it wasn't late, it was kind of like, oh, these console teams are preparing to face other console teams, and then a few weeks before the LAN, they find out they got to face PC teams, right? So no one really expected a console team to win, and Hype Unit got taken to, or was it Hype Unit? Yeah, Hype Unit got taken to Game 5 by the EU Xbox team Cyclone at the time. It was a little glimmer of hope. And then we learned that there's going to be a console wars at the qualifiers in November, but there's still going to be cross play. So going into that, I think the console teams had more time to prep because they knew about it twice the amount of time ahead. So, Vex, Ralkion, both of you, starting with Vex, what was your thought process before going into that tournament, and then after, when you saw Flashpoint almost beat the Knights and almost make it to the top 8 in the world, watching the Hype Unit team go at it against some of the PC teams as well? And Vex, so what were your thoughts, Ralkion? We're starting with Vex though, before the tournament, and then how your thoughts changed after.
Now, was that Flash? Can you give me that Flashpoint roster? Because I think I know it, but I'm not 100% sure. Do you remember part of them? Some of them?
I know all of them, man. So you want the Flashpoint roster?
Yeah. The one that was doing well.
All right, so you had Storm Avatar playing support, which I think he was keyboarding, and the rest of the team was playing with controller.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Skeppy on.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Legacy was also on keyboard.
No, he wasn't. They all left their keyboards at home on accident.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
they were planning on going in there with keyboards, except for Prosper. So they were going to use 4 keyboards, but they forgot. So they had to use controllers. So that Strix gameplay from Skeppy was controller, from what I've been told, from what I saw. So you have Skeppy and Prosper, Legacy, Goodlad, and Storm Avatar. And then Op was their coach / sub.
Yeah, I mean, before that, I knew that was a good team because, I don't pay attention to console or minor league at that very often. I kind of lost vision on PPL, but I didn't pay attention much before that. But I knew the names and I knew they were nuts. And
they lost to the Hype console team in the finals of console wars.
Yeah, watching them play, I think, kind of opened my eyes to say, hey, some of these console players really do deserve a chance. Watching Skeppy, what was it, Leanne on Shattered?
He was playing things that they're hit scans, but he's on a controller playing Strix against a PC team, and he was winning point fights on his own at times.
Yeah, 100%. I thought that.
But that Leon on Shattered, that was awesome too.
I know Prosper. Honestly, they were all playing well. What stood out in my mind was Prosper and Skeppy the most. I think they both deserved a chance. Minor league, pro league. I think they're both extremely, just really, really good players. And
Skeppy's been grinding on PC though.
Yeah, I've been seeing
ever
that
since then.
Yeah, I've been seeing him stream. I've ran into him a couple times.
But go ahead. What you were saying?
But before that, I'm oh, these players are good. I don't know if they have a chance, but after that, watching them come that close, I was rooting for them. I was I want them to win. It sucked that they didn't, but I had a lot more respect after that, basically. And
it's crazy too because they took Knights to Game 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
And 3 of those games were 3-3s that they should have won. They just made some mistakes on their zoning. And that's what cost them. That's what cost them those games. But at the same time, though, the Knights made it to 2nd in the world, man.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that.
Yep, it is insane.
Yeah, they're. I forgot. I think I remember it. It was the con on Shattered. I remember it was so close to winning, but he did something. He made a mistake that was almost cost him the game, and that was a very memorable. I don't know who it was. It was a very memorable.
Oh, it was Goodlad. He grabbed.
Yeah.
Which map was it? I think it was Jag. Oh, it was shattered. Yes, it was. He threw someone and they didn't go like far enough, so they came back. It was also on Jag. He ended up like redeeming himself right away after that. Yeah. But he tried to throw Barrack and he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember that was the map Skeppy popped off, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure like that's a game Skeppy's gonna be hurt after because he popped off and like they just couldn't close it. That was so hard to watch.
Yeah, and they had some interesting compositions too. Like on Serpent Beach, they won that game against Hype Unit console team where they had the Strix, the Vivian, and then the Grover. And Strix was just like finding ways to find angles on people that Grover and Vivian were pushing into from a different angle. So it's like, oh my God, I got to hide from Strix. But at the same time, I can't because I'm getting hit. If I hide from Strix, I get hit by Vivian and Grover from far away. And, you know, one Grover axe and then a Strix shot and you're dead. So
yeah, it's a lot of damage.
They were running some very interesting compositions. I think they played very well. But yeah, they kind of like proved to people that, you know, at the time, console was not just going to lay down and take it up the rear end.
Yeah, agreed with that. That's what I learned after that. It's like there's something to keep an eye on, basically. That's what I learned. I'm like, you got to keep an eye on these guys. You can't underestimate them, or else you're just going to get slapped around like the Knights, you know?
Yeah, and it's and then on the other side, we have the two Hype Unit teams. The PML, the minor league Hype Unit team went against the console league Hype Unit team. And that was very interesting because that wasn't just those games were won in the drafts. I don't know if people really know that. Those games were won in the drafts because those two teams scrimmed each other like 24/7. So they knew each other in and out. But the minor league team realized that Trenzik, the off tank for the console team, couldn't play certain tanks very well. So they would ban out the ones that he could play and then kept taking the ones that were left and giving him, like, you know, normally in the draft, if you give someone Atlas, people are questioning what you're doing. But at the same time, Trenzik couldn't play Atlas at the level that they needed. So giving them Atlas wasn't a big deal.
Yep, I understand that firsthand.
And so it's kind of like, hey, we'll give you this OP champ because we know you can't play it well enough to beat us. So those games were won in the draft with weird drafts that people weren't understanding watching. And it's like, that wasn't console versus PC. That was brains versus brains, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Console did very well. I'm proud of them as a console advocate. But let's talk about going into 2020. Ralkion, you bought a PC, so you're playing with those frame rates that reduced aim assist. You're still using gyro controls as well. There's a lot of console players that left, a lot of pro players that left as well. I know Bird retired. He won the World Championship, but even before the league coming in 2020 structure at all, before anything was even announced, right after the World Championship, he said, this was my last year. I already determined that before it even began. So, you know, shout out to Bird. He's a world champion now. Great player, great person. I enjoyed watching him play. I enjoyed spending the very few moments that I usually would talk to him. We've had some good conversations together. I know he's a tough egg to crack, but Bird is a good guy. There's some other players that have left as well. I can't really name them off the top of my head right now, but
Sadak, I think, is gone.
Yeah.
He retired super early on.
He's going to play Counter-Strike, man.
Yeah, he's like variety streaming right now.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. Good luck in the streaming department. Good luck in the Counter-Strike. That's a hard game to break into competitively.
That is a very hard game to break in competitively.
Not just skill-wise, man. It's just like you got to start from the bottom. But Brazil's pretty big on that. Maybe you can jump on their all-girl team.
True.
But there's some orgs that have left as well. Therefore, those teams have been disbanded. So you have like NIP, they're gone. Virtus Pro is gone. You have, who else? Envy's gone. That's kind of a big deal because Envy has been in Paladin since...
I don't think Envy's actually gone yet.
Or not Envy, excuse me. I mean Navi.
Navi is gone. Yeah, there it is.
A different blank V.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Which is a big deal because they've been in since almost the beginning. Almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of players, a lot of orgs leaving. I wouldn't say there's a lot coming into it, but there are a lot of people that could rise in the ranks because there are missing spaces to fill in, right? So let's talk about the 2020 Paladins Pro Circuit, the PPC. Crossplay enabled, so anybody can play on any platform. You have 3 consoles because Switch is now involved. They've been wanting a way to get into the competitive scene, and honestly, this is the best way for them to get in. I can't see it. If Console League still existed, I don't think Switch would get a chance unless they played in the Xbox side of things, because that would be an uneven amount of teams. Even if you brought 1 from each, that'd be 3. Even, who gets the bye? Is it fair? Blah, blah, blah. All of that would be complaints coming from the players, obviously. And even if you brought 2 teams from each, that'd be 2, 4, 6, whatever. So first off, let me explain why the PPC is, in my thoughts. I think it's because they don't have a lot of money, right? So for the past 2.5 years, all the money, most of the money, has been from the Mixer exclusive deals, right? And Paladins is kind of like the little brother to Smite, obviously. So I broke this down on a stream before. I opened up a Google spreadsheet and made up some fake numbers. So let's make up those fake numbers again, right? Let's say there is $1 million of funding coming from Mixer for Smite and Paladins, right? They're going to spend, what, $700,000 on Smite and $300,000 on Paladins, right? That's just an example. None of this is like true numbers or true percentages, whatever. And then let's say year 2 comes around, Mixer signs again, $2 million this time. So it's going to be, 1.2 million for Smite and then 800,000 for Paladins, right? Well, now there's no exclusive Mixer deal, which means that the money has to come from somewhere else. So it's going to come from other sponsors or from Hi-Rez directly, right? And Smite's going to get most of it because that's Big Brother. Season 7's coming up. They make more money. They have a bigger fan base. You watch the World Championship, those stands are full of Smite. On World Championship Day, on Grand Finals Day, I talked to some Smite fans, and they were like, you know what? I actually, because we were forced to watch Paladins this year, last year they weren't forced. There was 2 stages. A lot of people complained about only having 1 stage. I think 1 stage really helped Paladins this year because those Smite people were forced to watch Paladins, right? So they told me it's like whoever was in the lead, we were cheering for. So it's like, oh, NIP, Knights are up 2-0. Go Knights! If they tie the game, then it's go NIP. And then if NIP's up 3-2, it's go NIP. They're cheering for whoever's in the lead because they want to watch Smite, right?
Yeah.
Which I understand. But at the same time, there were a lot of people there for Paladins, yes, but not enough to fill the fans as much as Smite. So what do? They combine the stage, and now we have a bigger audience, bigger stage presence, stuff like that. So that money has to come from somewhere. Mixer, no exclusive deal, right? So Big Brother, Smite's going to get most of the money. Paladins is going to get kind of the leftovers. Plus, they're going to be allocating more money towards Rogue Company. If you check certain people's Twitter bios, like Pretty Hair, it's in his Twitter bio. He's already the leader for the talent for Rogue Company, right? So they're setting up the esports division for that behind the scenes already. So they're going to get some allocated funds there. So I understand why there's only 1 league, Then there's the case of the way it's going to play out, which we're all uncertain of right now. But it's an interesting concept, and I think it's going to be okay. I just think that too many people are very upset about it before it's actually underway. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you can't really say something sucks before it happens.
No. Here's kind of what I'm thinking about that. I think that if they had kept the minor league, then there would at least be somewhat of a shot for people who are...
Okay, I agree with that. There should be like a PPC and then like a PPM, right?
I love the crossplay. I think that
crossplay is fine. The
so
minor
great.
league could be crossplay too, as well as the pro circuit. I just think there should be 2 because there should be T2 support. Right now you have 6 teams, 3 regions. Oh, here's another thing, right? So the World Championship, everyone's upset that only NA and EU are there, right? Blah, 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 blah. You still have other players being represented. Okay, so like Space Station has people from Brazil. That constitutes as a World Championship. It's kind of like the MLB or the NBA or the NFL. They call the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, and the World Series the World Championships, right? But people say you can't call it that because there's no teams from international. But that's not the reason why it's called the World Championship. It's because the players, there's international players that play in the league, right? In the NBA, you have people from Africa, Europe, Australia, South America, and North America. And they have a team in Toronto, right? That's why it's constituted as the World Championship. Same with baseball. They have people from Central America, South America, Japan, which is Asia, all kinds of things. So that's why it's called the World Championship. Same with the NFL, but not as diverse as the other 2 mentioned before. So that's the reason why it's called the World Championship, right? Because you have international players in the league. And I guess people don't agree with that, but that's the way sports works. So because people were upset, they added a 3rd region, which is Brazil. Now, Diggy Dog will not be playing because he's gone home, apparently, and I guess he won't be playing. I don't know if he's made a decision and announced it like permanently, but he moved to Europe before to play, so who's to say he won't do it again? Chronix has said that he won't be playing because he's not moving. But what's your take on North America, Europe, and Brazil being the 3 regions, Vex? 6 teams in each, by the way. I don't know. Can Brazil produce 6 good teams?
I don't think Brazil will produce 6 good teams, but I think Brazil is first of all, it's the biggest region for Paladins.
Wait, can LATAM teams play on Brazil?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that
might
works.
not favor them, but
but
it's region free now.
It is because you had LATAM teams in the NAPML, right?
Yeah. They have the biggest player base for Paladins in Brazil. At least for like country, I think it's country or like region based. They have the biggest player base.
Okay, so we learned about this in the AOC. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Sorry to cut you off, but Brazil
Go ahead.
Latin America and Brazil combined have the biggest player base and the biggest fan base of Paladins throughout the entire world. The problem is they don't spend money.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to get into. I never heard that from AOC.
Yeah,
but
each viewer is priced. Okay, so there's like companies all over the world that do this for all kinds of game companies and stuff like that. It's like, all right, this is how many viewers you get from this region, but each one is worth like 0.001 cent. And that's basically, I don't know the exact numbers, but that's like what Brazil and LATAM are. They're so low because they don't spend any money, but they're the biggest fans. So the problem is that, yes, we want to support your region, but you don't spend money, so how are we supposed to fund your region? But go ahead. You were saying. Yeah,
that's what I was going to kind of get into is like, they're the biggest, and they by far have the most dedicated fan base. It's like, I think it's smart to support the Brazilian league just for the fact of the way the PPC is moving. It's moving into like no salaries, no land, no houses. Hi-Rez isn't spending like any money on this. So why do they care if the viewers give any money back in Brazil? They want it just for the numbers because Hi-Rez's plan is to rebuild the numbers so they can sell themselves to a different company or something else or sell themselves to new sponsors.
Yeah, so it's not exclusive streaming. They'll be streaming on Twitch, YouTube, I think Facebook as well, and Mixer. So everything, every single broadcast, not just LAN events. And you mentioned no salaries, no nothing like that, and Hi-Rez, yes. So Skillshot is officially branched off now. So Skillshot will still be doing the production, but all of the actual esports management will be for Smite and Paladins will be through Hi-Rez again, but Skillshot will still be producing it. Meanwhile, they're producing other esports as well.
Yeah, I think it's, but to get back to the point, I think it's smart to, because of those reasons, I think it's smart to bring in the Brazilian League. And though I do think 6 teams is a little bit overkill for the regions. And I did a video on this. I highly agree on the fact that there had to have been a minor league. I think it's a really ridiculous to not have people work for something during the season. Just like you can we'll maybe talk about this later, but like I'm building a team now and my whole motto is we're gonna coast. We're gonna practice, we're gonna try, but we're not gonna give it our all. There's literally no reason to give it our all and really want to be there because we're not making a living off of it. So like having 6 teams might be a bit overkill because the most dedicated teams, if you have like a 4 and 4, a 4 pro league and a 4 minor league, that gives people more of a reason to play. Yeah.
Whoa, calm down, boys. The console boys are coming for those 6 spots.
Hey, if they want to give the effort and make it, like I think they can. Like I'm telling you for a fact, the PC teams are not going to be putting as much effort into this.
So predictions: how many console players do you think are going to be in PPC come after March or whenever the season starts? How many? What's the number? Not teams, because there's no console teams, but how many players from console do you think are going to be PPC?
I'd guess 3 to 5.
All right, so realistically, you had 8 PPL teams, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think I saw like 2 or 3 roster announcements already. I can't remember who they were. I know Alex did one.
Fasheko, Alex, Crunchy, Bonker, and Bittner.
All right, so realistically, if you break it down, SSG was Brazilian, so you can take them out of the NA-EU side of things, right? Then you have a couple players who like just left the game from PPL. So it's probably about 3 PPL teams in each EU and NA, like PPL worthy players in there. Maybe 1 or 2. There's probably going to be like 2 minor league team worth of players that make it into EU, maybe 1 into NA. For NA console, I think there could be like 1 team there, or 1 team worth of players. For EU, I think the Xbox EU kids have a chance if they can make a strong team. Or it might be like half and half. They'll have some kids who were console, but they're playing on mouse and keyboard now, and then like some of the players on their team are still using controllers. Like Slopodopolis and Welshmania could be using keyboard, and then they have like 1 or 2 controller players with them. But I think Flashpoint has a chance, whether they keyboard or not. They'll still be considered controller players because that's where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Spuds. Spuds is a PC player, but everyone knows he used to play console, right? But he hasn't played console at LAN to the extent of like Prosper and stuff. So like if Skeppy makes it into the league, he's still going to be considered a console player, even if he plays on mouse and keyboard the entire year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you have that tag on your head. You have that name plate. So I don't know. I think there could be a couple players. The problem is that regions are unlocked. So Skeppy lives in Florida. Can he still play with Flashpoint and EU?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because one thing I've kind of learned since I've switched over to the PC side and joined a PC tier 3 team. Well, I guess technically we're always saying this. We're tier 2 now. There is no tier 3 because there is no PML. So now that I'm on a shitty tier 2 team. Not that they're all great guys, but now that I'm on that team, I'm kind of realizing that it doesn't seem like people do that whole region switching like console did. Like I asked them, I was like, so do people like go switch regions? Like, is that going to be a thing? And they said, hell no. Like, that's not even something PC players even consider. So I don't know. Vex, I'd be interested to hear what you think about that.
About having unlocked regions?
Yeah, and how that would affect, like, if people are actually going to take advantage of that from the PC player-based side.
I haven't heard any inter-region mingling yet, because I know of, which I can't talk about one. One was announced and then deleted, and then one's a team I'm making. So there's 3 teams that I know of, and they're all NA. for the NA side. All 3 of them are all NA, and I haven't heard of any inter-region mingling. I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's any advantage to it. And I don't think players will want to play on the ping like every single day. Like, say me, like since me and Doe are like, again, me, Doe, and Spuds are like rebuilding this team like we did at the beginning of the 2019.
Spud's going to coach or is he going to play?
Spud's going to coach again.
Okay.
But
man, dude, I got offered a coaching job in PPL. I should have took it for that year, dude.
Yeah.
But my pride of console corner got in the way.
Like we're rebuilding, but like say me and Doe could probably join an EU team because tank and support doesn't require you to have the best ping. Like I could play support at 140 ping. I've played EU scrims before. It's not very hard. But a lot of players, like say we wanted to pick up Fisheko again. Fisheko literally can't play NA because it is unplayable BK and Eevee.
Yeah.
They're unplayable on ping. Like some of the other blasters you can, but they're literally unplayable. So I could see some players being able to do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. At least on the PC side of things.
I definitely think it'd only be something that, like, bot. Like, if you're looking for that 6
desperation
spot,
team.
Like, shit, EU's looking pretty stacked. Let's go to Brazil, guys. I think we have a shot there at making, rather than waiting till the next relegation phase.
I agree with that.
So, what's your overall scope? What are you expecting in 2020, Vex?
What am I expecting? I'm expecting first of all the quality of play to go down tenfold. The PPC will never be as near as the PPL was last year. I think last year's PPL was the best, most competitive PPL we've ever had, and I think this year is going to be. I said this before, going back to 2016. Like predate PPL, like we're talking like Eevee's Winter Classic stuff. I don't know if either of you were here for like Eevee's Winter Classic, but
I was, sir. I was.
Yeah, you remember that. I think we're gonna go back to that time over time. I think it's gonna be okay at the beginning, but people they're just not gonna care.
I think that was the was that before? Yeah, that was after Sweden. Right?
Yeah, that was after Sweden, and before the second HRX, I believe. Or first, I don't remember. But
have you ever watched the games from the LAN in Sweden, like way back in 2016?
Yep, it is
totally different game, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, oh, these guys, I know all these names. Oh, you watch the game?
I brought that up in an AOC meeting. I was like, yo, I really love these new maps you're making. Like, I like how they're different from the normal maps. Like, Ascension Peak. Bazaar, like I like those points, those capture points. They're dynamic, they're bigger, they have like more diversity to getting on the point, being able to contest, stuff like that. The point fights are longer because they're so big. There's things in the middle that can block damage, line of sight, whatever. I was like, what could you make a map where it's the same thing, but instead of the capture point being in the middle, it's like your old school days where there's 3 different ones. And each round it's random which one. That way it changes the way the team fights happen because you have to go into a fight differently, But
yeah,
that'd
be interesting.
They didn't like the idea. It kind of like took away from what Paladins is today.
Sounds like King of the Hill with extra steps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see, at least from the PC side, the competitive like PPL players, even PML players, like when you go from like being able to live off salary and like live off the game to like nothing, like you have to worry about, your future. So like, it's not really worth like myself to focus and like try for PPC. I'm not going to be putting effort to it. Our team's already agreed that we plan to stream scrims. I know there's a couple other teams in A that plan to stream scrims. That's going to be a thing. Teams just aren't going to care. Like myself, I plan to come season 3 on my YouTube, do like a bunch of guides and like talk about what I've learned through esports. I would have never done that before because there was a reason to hold on to the secrets. There's no reason to hold on to secrets now because there's absolutely no way without 2 years of rebuilding Paladin's pro scene that it goes back to where it was, to minimum salaries and stuff. It needs probably 2 years of regrowth and redevelopment to get back to that spot. So
yeah, it's so interesting.
I just don't expect much from 2020.
It's so interesting coming from a console side and just making my first LAN and everything, having that different perspective, because for me, and I'm sure for the people who are in PML, or not even PML, like the tier 3 teams that feel like, oh, there's lots of people who, like, I've been playing this game for a total of, I want to say $5,000, maybe $6,000 over the last 2 years. So like, to me, I'm coming into this the same as before. Yeah, right. I'm coming into this basically as any other season. If not anything, I'm actually more hyped for this season because I actually have a shot, and I know it's all perspective.
All right, check this out. You just mentioned how much money you've made over your total Paladins career, right?
Yeah.
This is very funny to me, and I always think of this. After I was told this, I always think about this when I think about, like, or when people mention how much they've earned or won playing Paladins or any game, pretty much. So Vex, you know who Shu is, right?
Yeah.
And you know who Wonderful is?
Yeah.
Wonderful has never missed a LAN.
Yeah.
Shu has missed one LAN.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful has won. He won Valencia. He won HRX at the Cobb Center.
Yep.
He won Summer in 2018. And he won this past LAN for the Console Wars qualifiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the Console Wars during the qualifiers. So he's won 4 LANs. Shu has won Valencia. He won HRX at DreamHack last year, and he won this year's Console War, right? So Wonderful has been to every LAN, and he's won 4 of them. Shu has been to all but 1 LAN, and he's only won 3 times, and he's made more money than Wonderful has.
Huh. That's interesting. Why is that?
Bigger prize pools. He won the ones with bigger prize pools.
Ah, yeah. That makes sense.
And he came in second one time. The summer finals was a double elimination. So there was a for sure second and third place.
Mm-hmm.
Or there was a for sure third and fourth place match. And he got second that time, behind Wonderful. So, and then he won the HRX in November, where that prize pool got bumped up to $50,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. One less land victory, more money. It's crazy. But yeah, so I mean, Ralkion's super excited for 2020 because he has a chance. Vex is just going to be chilling in gym shorts and flip flops in his room, coasting his way to hopefully another LAN.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, like, I'll be lucky to make the 6th spot. I would be overjoyed to make that. I mean, going into this season.
Are you going to be playing on an all-console team, or you got some PC?
Oh, no. Oh, hell no. There's only, like, a few, it's Flashpoint or it's Hype Unit, the PCL. Like, those are the only 2 teams that I think had any shot at it.
I think the Hype console team will be using entirely mouse and keyboard. Yeah,
and that's the thing too, is I don't think,
except for Payne. I don't know if Payne will be playing on a keyboard. I think he's looking to build a computer though.
He is. He's got some of this stuff in already. But I've been looking at just kind of what's possible, and I don't think it's possible at all to be in the PPC with a fully console team. I just don't.
Hey,
I think that Flashpoint did it.
The Japanese Switch usernames could just pop up with gyros and start whacking people.
I would love to see that. An all Japanese team, no region lock, just hopped in.
I don't know. Some of them are not even Japanese. They just have these weird names that have Japanese characters, and I'm like, how am I supposed to, like? What if we're cool and I like you? How am I supposed to add you, bro?
Oh yeah, I've seen them before.
Some of those symbols I've never even seen in my life, too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, but I mean, that's pretty much it for this episode. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show, talking about your 2019, your 2020 expectations, your careers overall. We didn't get really too deep into anything, but it's a long episode. A lot of stuff always to talk about. I want to appreciate you, Vex, for being who you are in our scene. I appreciate everything you do. Appreciate the person that you are, not just online, but, I've met you plenty of times in person, both sober and not so sober.
Yeah.
So I've seen every side of you there is, online, offline, doesn't matter. Ralkion, same for you, man. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen you not sober, but I have seen you without the controller in your hand for more than 5 minutes. So,
well, before we wrap up, I gotta ask Vex. Obviously, you can say no, but at some point, I want to schedule at least a 1 hour block with your team. Just one. Doesn't have to be a regular thing. I want to see how far behind I am, because we've been playing against like Freeze God and Midtow, and like every now and then the games are kind of close, but for the most part they're not that close.
Hey, long as you agree to have scrims streamed, there's a high probability we'll agree to it.
We are. Yeah. Totally.
We need the content.
Hey,
do it for the content.
Only if we can stream it. What? Yeah,
imagine that compared to 2019. Like, not a single team in PML or PPL would stream scrims. Now everything's going to be streamed and out there.
Yeah, in 2019, you got uninstall OBS, bro.
Yeah.
2020. Yo, you got your OBS and XSplit open?
That's
awesome.
Yep, that's 2019 versus 2020 for you. That you could break it down to that statement right there.
All right. Well, if you guys want to shout out your Twitters, starting with Ralkion, or your Twitch, or your YouTubes, whatever, go ahead, plug yourselves.
Yeah, so it's just at Ralkion and like Ralkion on pretty much every platform: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. And now that the new season's about to drop, I'll be doing the same thing Vex was saying, probably streaming scrims and trying to make YouTube videos just for fun. Now that I have a PC, I can actually have some quality content made rather than the old PS4 share. So I'm really excited about it.
Ooh, if you need graphics, hit me up, brother.
I might actually have to do that.
Vex?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Vex30_YT, and that YT stands for YouTube, which I have, which is again Vex30. You can find me there. You look for the blue V. You'll find that anywhere. And also, this will be a first for me announcing kind of this, find it here first on this podcast. I might be venturing back into Twitch soon because I stream on YouTube. So I might be moving into the multi-streaming phase of Paladins with the Z1. So, that's a little spoiler here. I might be doing that. So you can check me out on Twitch too at Vex30. So,
hey, if you do, don't turn on YouTube comments in Twitch chat. Won't get.
Ooh, thank you for telling me.
Z1 lost his partnership because Twitch caught him.
Yep.
Because he has his YouTube comments in the Twitch chat.
Yep, you can't be doing that one.
Yeah,
YouTube
obviously says restream bot.
Yep.
But thanks again, guys, for coming on the show. Really enjoyed talking with you guys. I hope you did as well with me as each other. You can catch the podcast on YouTube at the Console Pro News channel. That's Console Pro News, all one word, on YouTube. It'll be on the website, which is consolecorner.co. We'll tweet it out on the Twitter, which is Console Pro News again. And also, it will be on our Spotify channel. Just type in Console Space Corner. Again, that's Console Corner in Spotify. Go ahead and favorite, like all you want on Spotify. Full episodes are on there. You can even listen to past episodes as well with other guests. Vex, Ralkion, thanks for coming on the show. Hope to have you guys again sometime in the future. I think next episode we might have Dethroner. Could have Goremizer coming on the show very soon. We'll let you know about that. But that's about it. My name is Real Blue TV. You can follow me on Twitter and everywhere else on the interwebs at Real Blue TV. No E in blue. Keep grinding, everyone.